What up, boys and girls? Welcome back to the channel. It is a brisk Sunday afternoon, and felt pretty good today. And it's late in the day, but I feel like I'm going to do some work out in the shop. And by not the shop, but the garage. We're getting into something a little different today, something I kind of wanted to do. So we picked up an engine here recently from a buddy of mine. It is a reman unit from a big engine remanufacturing company here in the US. I'm not going to say who it is, but I kind of want to dissect it and kind of see what's inside of a brand new reman unit from one of these other companies. The company I used to work for, we used to get some of these engines and we would tear them down because we'd get failures on them because we would do business with them and stuff. And if we sold one of their engines to somebody, every now and then we would get warranty claims on failures on brand new engines and stuff. So we started getting into, in our warranty department, a guy would tear them apart and try and find the failures in them and really see what these other engine remanufacturing companies are doing and what parts they're using and stuff. So we've got this brand new engine, and I say brand new, we've got this new reman engine, and I've already kind of started taking stuff off of it. This is a full dress engine. This thing came with a water pump, coil packs, a new intake manifold and stuff. There's a lot of new parts on it. Let me show you what they show, or let me show you what they send on this thing. So here's the engine here. This is basically a 2008 model 4.8. From what I'm told, the sticker on top of it actually even said that. This one's been sitting for a while. I mean, it's got brand new coils on it, new coil harnesses. They didn't reuse anything. Came with a new TBSS style intake. And this is a brand new boy. Like, you can tell this thing has never had anything go through it. It is dusty from sitting on this engine. And then it came with a water pump and stuff. I believe these engines, they actually ran them and ran coolant and stuff through them. This one, when I pulled the water pump off of it, actually had coolant inside of it. You can tell it's pretty nasty. Initially, I was just going to throw this thing directly in the truck. No questions asked. But after seeing that, I kind of want to tear it apart. So we are going to pull the heads off of it. I'm not sure I'm going to use these heads on this engine. These are really nice 799s. I mean, you can tell by the mating surface on this thing. Like, these are brand new cylinder heads. I mean, look at those. Those things are, look at the surface on that thing. But I'm not sure we're going to use these on the BK. I may put some 706s, 862s or something on it, because I don't know that I want to waste a set of 243s on the truck. Kind of where I'm at with it. We are going to pull the pan off of it, and hopefully it's got 4-gen rods in it. Hopefully it's got a flat top piston in it. I'm hoping it's standard bore, but I don't think it's going to be. So I want to see what pistons they're using in this thing. I want to try and clean out some of this nasty junk in here. And I want to go through and put BTR 7 layers on it, since we are going to boost it. And I want to yank the rods and pistons out of it and check the ring gaps. They actually send it with new motor mounts and stuff on it too. New Chinese cast manifolds. We'll use those on a turbo kit. I'll probably go ahead and, get some V-bands or something for those. We cut those up. Those would look really good on something that you've got clearance issues up here, as far as getting a V-band down here and having it exit out the front, like if this was the front of the engine. It's got a new flex plate on it. We'll save that. We'll use that on something. But we're going to go through and dissect this thing and kind of see what we find as we go. Like I said, I just went ahead and pulled all this stuff off. That way I could set up the time lapse and we can get into some of the nitty gritty, like underneath the valve covers and stuff. So anyways, I'm going to set this up. We're going to start tearing into this and see what we find. All right, so we got the oil draining out of it. There was some nasty oil in it. It looked like it had dye in it. I assume they put that in there whenever they pre-test the engine. And then that way, if they sell an engine and they've got leaks, it's already got dye pre-installed on it, since this was a fully sealed, ready to go long block. It's neat. They got little, like, copper studs or bronze studs or whatever you want to call it. Factories aren't like that. They're just like a normal steel stud. But it looks like, inside of it, it appears they run a new retainer. That's not a factory retainer. The factory retainers are actually polished, so they put different retainers on them. Springs and everything look really good. They may not be good for boost, but they'll be good for an NA setup. Came with Denso plugs in it. I pulled brand new Denso plugs out of it. As you can tell, these things are pretty clean. I think, and don't quote me on it, but I think they might actually fire these up on a run stand before they ship them. That might be part of their test, because inside the these brand new exhaust manifolds, well, maybe not. That one had some soot in it. Well, I thought they looked like they'd been fired, but maybe it's just the way I'm looking at it. Maybe it's just the rust. I mean, it kind of looks like maybe it ran, but there's not much like soot in there. That looks black there, but that's actually just the cast iron color of the metal. But you can see there's some heat there. So maybe they do like a couple minute run cycle on them prior to shipping them, just to make sure they don't have any major leaks and whatnot. But actually the plugs didn't even look like they'd been fired. So maybe they put some generic plugs in it, fire it up, and then they go back through and change the plugs out. But yeah, this thing had brand new Denso plugs in it. Everything top end wise, all the push rods and stuff look nice and clean. The rockers look really clean. Rocker shafts or rocker stands look really clean. The heads themselves are really clean. You can see right here underneath the paint, that's a Dorman stamp. So that's a Dorman aftermarket valve cover. They started doing the aftermarket valve covers because they had a bigger hole in the baffling, and that was supposedly like a fix for like oil consumption. The old factory valve covers, like you run a factory valve cover on it, it would always have oil consumption issues. We did that at the company that I worked for. Some of the years had that on them anyways, but other ones just had little holes, you know, placed kind of like this, like that one. But it was always the driver's side one because that was the one with the PCV in it. So, but yeah, that one's a factory one. This one's an aftermarket. This would have been going in a UPS truck, which I thought all the UPS trucks had 6 liters in it, but I guess I'm wrong. Yeah, we'll get these heads off, get everything pulled off this thing, and kind of see what we're looking at on the inside of this old girl. I got to go grab the air hose and drag the air hose out here too. So we'll get back to you in just a second. All right, so we've been dissecting everything. Everything looks good. Like I said, I'm pretty sure these are a new casting cylinder head, just based on how good the intake surface looks. They do paint the crap out of them. The exhaust side they don't leave, but they paint that up too. But just judging by how the mating surface looks, it looks like a new cylinder head. And maybe they go through and maybe they machine that themselves. I don't know. But they put everything else new on it, like new retainers. It's got brand new push rods. They run an SBI push rod. It's got a new front cover, new balancer, new oil pump, a lot of new parts. The intake's new. The motor mounts are new. The coils are new. You know, a lot of times people don't like to sell long block complete intake to oil pan because there's too many variables for warranty issues. But it also, in turn, if they use really good stuff, they'll know that the likelihood of a failure is pretty slim. But yeah, we got the cover and everything off. Everything inside the front cover looks good. One thing we are going to do, we're going to change this tensioner setup. We're going to go to the LS2 style tensioner, which is not a tensioner. It's actually just like a plug that kind of goes between the two of them. We'll use that on this. It's probably just a stock 295 oil pump and stuff. We're going to change that out and whatnot. But we're going to go ahead and get the heads off. I'm going to go ahead and pull like the coolant plugs out of it, make sure there's no coolant in it. I don't think there is, but I just want to be sure. So I'm going to pop those plugs out real quick, and then we'll start yanking these heads off. And then hopefully we see some flat tops in it. It'd be really cool if by chance this thing just happens to be a 5.3. Every now and then you find a good crankshaft, and you'll be able to look on the back of the crank. It looks like actually on this one, they actually use the spacer, the crank spacer there. That's good because we'll use those every now and then. So that'll be a nice little addition to my list of parts. But yeah, we'll go ahead and pull these plugs out, make sure there's no water in it, and get these heads yanked off and see what's underneath these cylinder heads. My my camera died there, or my phone died there, and I had to put it on the charger for a little bit, and I was just kind of tinkering away with the motor at that point. So we got the pan off, and inside of the pan, like you can tell, they really clean their stuff. It looks like a new pan, but it's been blasted of some sort. Like all this looks really nice and new, but it's got some kind of textured finish to it. So they must like bake it or something. I don't know what the hell they're doing to it. But the first thing I noticed is they don't use factory nuts. They use like a nylock nut on it. But this one back here was completely loose, which I mean, I guess isn't a huge deal, but I don't like the way those nylock nuts fit. I definitely put OEM hardware back on there. Yeah, so we're gonna zap these straight bolts off. Well, it is a 4.8. That's good. Inside this thing looks so good. It does have 4th gen rods in it. I don't know a whole lot about the 4th gen 4.8 stuff, but I know as far as like the 4th gen 5.3 stuff, the rods that don't have any numbers on them are usually not very good. Those are the ones that usually bend. And you can usually tell by looking at them that they're a not so good or an inferior material. I mean, it's a nice little engine. It looks nice inside. I don't know how I feel about the pistons they use. So these have a Silverlight cast piston in it, and they're 1/over. So this thing is 3/820 bore, where standard bore is 3/780. So that's 40 thousandths. So this is 1/over. So half a millimeter, 0.5 millimeter is 20 thousandths, and 1 millimeter would be 40 thousandths. So this is a 40/over 4853 block. It's a really nice looking block, honestly. It needs a satin black paint job with Van Sickle on it, but you know, we'll go ahead and pull the rods and pistons out, and then we can check ring gap on it, see kind of where it's at. And because right now the boost knuckle has an aluminum 4.8 in it, which they didn't make, but I made that one. So it makes me wonder, and it's 30/over. It's a 30/over 4.8. It's got some, I don't know, I mean, the pistons that are in it, they were used out of an old motor, and they've seemed to work pretty good. But I'm going to get these pistons knocked out. We're going to pull the cam and stuff out of it anyway, so I might go ahead and do that as well. And then we'll see what we're looking at whenever we get it flipped back over. All right, so we got all the rods and pistons out of it. Went ahead and left the crank in it. We got the cam out of it. She is a nice one, boys. I've kind of been going back and forth with what I want to do with this. I was going to dissect it, and I was going to save the block, maybe use it for something else, take this rotating assembly, put it in something else. But I think I'm just going to use it. I think I'm going to go ahead and take these rods and pistons. I don't know much about using a Silverlight piston with boost, but I guess we're gonna find out. This crank has been turned, so it's got 10 under on the rods. Sometimes people will ride it on the crank. Yeah, see, they got like an R and an M. That's probably because they turned the rods and the mains. One thing I would have liked to done was weld the crank reluctor. Like I said, I think what I want to do is I think I just want to take gap those rings. I did pull 2 of them off and check them, and they were both super tight. So we're going to have to do some serious filing on those rings to get them where we need them to be. But everything else, I think we're going to leave it the same. I've got a set of 706s at the machine shop. I'm getting surfaced, and I spent some time lapping the valves in on them. They're not the nicest set of cylinder heads, but like I said, I did want to take the new 799s off this, and we're going to use those on a backup motor for the Mustang. I think the plan for this is to use this as a backup motor for the boost knuckle. Currently, the boost knuckle has a blown head gasket. I'm going to attempt to try and just change one head gasket on it. It's actually the driver's side head gasket. Look, appears that it blown out right about here on that motor. I'll drop in a picture because I had it up on the lift when we were making a custom belly pan for it. I noticed when we were underneath of it, I was like, man, that looks like residual watermarks down the aluminum block there. And I got the flashlight out and looked up in there, and you can see where the gasket has kind of pushed itself out. And that was a BTR 7-layer head gasket. So I'm going to pull that head off, put a gasket on it. I'll probably go ahead and take it to the machine shop and just get it skimmed and make sure the block's flat, or make sure the deck surface on the head is flat. And then we'll bolt that back together. That will hopefully run for a little while longer. This will be its backup if for some reason that one still has failures. We'll just say the heck with it and pluck it out of there. But I am gonna, like I said, I'm gonna put BTR 7 layers on this. They're not even BTR, they're L-ring. I'm gonna use L-ring small bore gaskets. L-ring was a company we used at my old shop that I used to work for. And L-ring does a lot of gaskets for a lot of performance places, like the BTR gaskets. Well, I mean, let's just show you. Yeah, your BTR LS9 head gaskets. If you look right there, you'll see the L-ring logo. So L-ring makes those. And then we've got a set of, I had a 7 layer out here somewhere. I don't know what I did with it. And then I've got some small bore ones here for this one. And you'll see here, you'll see the L-ring logo there. But yeah, and then these come from LSX Acceleration. I say that 7 times fast. Basically, this is going to be the same thing you get whenever you order a BTR 7 layer. And LSX Acceleration, they sell these for like 95 bucks. And it's the same gasket. It just doesn't have this fancy BTR cardboard package with it. Who needs that? Nobody gives a damn. We are going to throw the 7 layers on it and probably put those 706s on it, throw some valve springs in them, and then this will basically be the backup motor for the boost knuckle. But yeah, I got to figure out what I'm going to do about a cam, because I don't know if I want to pull the cam out of that motor and swap it when the time comes. I would rather get this thing completely assembled and have it ready to go and ready to drop in when that one comes out. This particular company, it appears that they do a really good job with their reman units, much better than some of the other ones I've seen in the past. But overall, a very, very nice unit, and it's going to hopefully do real good in the BK. But yeah, so I mainly wanted just to tear this thing apart and kind of see how things looked. And I was actually pretty impressed. At first thinking that it was probably not going to be quite as nice as I expected, or it wasn't going to be quite as nice as the engines we used to build at the company that I used to work for, but it was actually a pretty nice unit. But that's what to expect whenever you get a reman unit, at least from this company. And like I said, I'm not going to drop the name. I acquired it. I wanted to go through it and make sure it was going to be usable, and I wanted to make sure there wasn't going to be any failures whenever we drop this thing down the BK and wring its neck. So anyways, that's going to do it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Keep following along. We'll see you on the next one.